doing one of those hanging things. I'm all fascinated.
Commissioner?
Yes. Oh, sorry. Did you hear that? I don't know if you had the update, but Buffy had told me that they did receive at least one application from, remember his name? Shoot. I'll think of it in a minute. He was on the commission in the past.
Sure, we're just pledging quietly, right?
I think someone leads it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and lead it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for the republic it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's now a little bit after 6. We're here tonight for the regularly scheduled meeting of the Fortuna Planning Commission. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can.
Audio is good, okay. Should check earlier. So, you've joined me in the flag salute, thank you. I guess we bring the meeting to order. Katie, can you call roll, please?
All right, Commissioner Blakely,
Here.
Commissioner Bradley. Is not here. Commissioner Hallie,
Here.
Chairman Mobley is not here. Vice Chair Rogers,
Here. Okay. Did you get Mark?
Mark's on.
Mark's here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I see. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. We get approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting, the minutes from the last meeting as recorded.
I
I'll
second.
second that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, how about all in favor? Or do we need a roll call?
while we're doing Zoom, we have to do the roll call.
Okay,
So Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rogers,
yes.
and Commissioner Seitz.
Yes.
Okay, we're good there. I guess at this point we open, do we have any oral comments from the public? No comments so far? Hey, can I get a motion to close public comment?
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
I would like to second.
Okay, and a roll call, please.
You.
All right, Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rogers,
Yes,
and Commissioner Seitz.
Yes.
okay. Wow, that blew out. Okay, you're there. Minimize this. Okay, so I guess we'll roll into business tonight. Flag salute minutes, oral comments. So what we've got for this evening is the consideration of the FY 2021-26 5-year capital improvement programs, consistency with the general plan. And I would hand it, I guess this goes to you, Liz.
Yeah, Commissioner, Vice Chair Larry, and Commission. I'll just give a brief introduction about what this topic is and how it fits into your role as the Planning Commission, and then I'll turn it over to the Deputy Public Works Director for discussion of the actual capital improvement program. So this is on the agenda basically every year at this time, and it's part of the planning for the budget for the next fiscal year that gets adopted shortly. So that's one of the purposes, is to allow the Public Works Department to, do the planning of their next year's projects and, identify the budget for those activities. And then it's also kind of structured by state law, which requires preparation of a capital improvement program that allows cities to plan and budget. And then also it's a requirement that the city make the finding that the CIP is consistent with the general plan. So that kind of, follows from the idea that the CIP is a planning tool. And in order to implement the city's long-range goals, it gets tied to the general plan. So is it consistent with the general plan? And so that's why it's before the Planning Commission. You guys get to make that, sort of determination, and then that gets passed on to the council. So after tonight, the council will formally adopt the CIP. You noticed in your staff report, there is at the end, so you've got the staff report and then the CIP, which will be presented shortly. And then I prepared a short report going through the general plan elements, and then just a discussion of consistency. So identifying which of the CIP projects are applicable to that element or that chapter of the general plan, and then a little discussion about why that's consistent. And the topics, the elements of the general plan include, that are discussed back there, include the land use element, economics, housing, transportation and circulation, natural and cultural resources, parks and recreation, public facility, health and safety, and community design. So for the most part, the projects in the CIP relate to the transportation and circulation element, and that would be, of course, the road projects, parks and recreation. There are some public or some parks facilities projects that are listed, and public facility and health and safety, and those kind of relate to utilities, storm drainage, water and sewer. So there is that discussion at the end. And I'm not going to go over it. I think, each of those, some of the elements don't really have anything from the CIP tied to them, like the land use element or housing, community design necessarily. The other ones I do discuss, the projects and the consistency. So if you have any questions or want to discuss any of those chat sections, definitely we can do that. I think we'll move on to the presentation, and then you guys can ask questions, talk about the consistency, if you have any questions or comments about that, and then just make the finding if that's what you determine. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to the Deputy Director of Public Works, Kevin Carter.
Great. Thanks, Liz. Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight, I'm going to go through a kind of a high-flying overview of the CIP that we produced this year. I'll highlight some projects. I've got some photos of those, and I pulled out some of the projects that we've completed this year and just kind of the process. I'll share my screen here real quick. PowerPoint. So can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So again, this is we call it the 21-22 5-year CIP, even though it's really the 21 to 26. And we start the process every year by taking a look at the projects that we've completed, and we remove those projects that were completed. A couple of those would be the Jameson Creek project that most people are aware of, that happened out on Runnerville Road and had Runnerville Road shut down for a while this last year. There's still some minor work that will be done down in the channel. The road will stay open. There won't be any shutdowns of the road that are anticipated at this time, maybe for an hour or so to unload materials or something like that. And then the Safe Routes to School project was also completed this last year. Okay. So the Jameson Creek Culvert, here's a photo of that. It was a very extensive project. It was mostly funded through grants, and some of them were through Fish and Wildlife, some of them through Water Resources Board. And that was a pretty successful project. I think it's a very successful project. We won't have to worry about that culvert for years to come. It was it's a little bit interesting. It was some old train boilers that were all welded together. That was the original culvert, and that's been replaced now with, as you can see, a very large 14-foot by 12-foot concrete culvert. The Safe Routes to School project was at South School, which is now, I believe, called Walter School. And the picture on your left is Lawndale, that has all new sidewalks, new striping, bike lanes, parking. Each individual house had to have, right entry and construct to do a little bit of work on their driveway for some conform concrete work, flat work. And then the picture on the right is the intersection of Lawndale and Newburgh, and that enhanced crossing, which is a rapid flashing beacon crosswalk sign. There were other projects that were completed that were a little bit smaller that we can talk about if you like. The next step is we go through the process of confirming budget and scope for this year's projects from previous CIPs. And we also identify new projects through our master plans, which include our storm drain master plan that was done in 2005, our water master plan that was done in 2007, and our sewer master plan that was done in 2011. All three of those master plans are being budgeted this year to be updated. And so that will help us in future capital improvement processes to identify projects and find the funding and find grants and all that stuff. We also go to our division heads, which are our operations and maintenance crew, and with their direct observations with their crews. And we use our pavement management plan for pavement projects. And we also work with the Parks Department to develop community projects, which we'll talk about in a second. Prioritization. So we prioritize those that can be funded this fiscal year. Obviously, if it can't be funded, it has to be pushed out. Either it's local funds or grant funds. We strive to have a lot of grant funds on our projects, and you'll see in a little bit the pie chart showing how much is grant funded, how much is local funded. And then we take a look at those that should be put out for funding or other reasons. Example is paving after a water main replacement. We don't want to, replace a water line underneath brand new pavement, obviously. We distribute the cost over a 5-year planning period, if need be, on our larger projects. If not, we just get it done in a 1-year period. We review and create each project worksheet. So each project has its own worksheet, which provide details for each project, a justification, photos, and previous funding that's been spent and future funding that's being allocated for each of the projects. And as Liz mentioned, this is, part of it is it's just mainly a planning document other than this next fiscal year, which is being included in the budget process and has already been taken to council with our finance director and has been included as part of the budget for this next fiscal year. Many things will and can change from now in the next 4 years after this next fiscal, including state transportation funding. We just found out that we'll have some more STIP funding that will be available, and we'll be aggressively going after that in June. And then through the Humboldt County Association of Governments, as well as any unforeseen infrastructure failures. As most of you are aware, we can have some storm drain failures that we have to, go and find money for and replace in emergency situations. And the regulatory requirements are always changing, and we have to try to stay out in front of those. And we'll talk about those a little bit more. I'm going to highlight a few of our grant funded projects. Our storm drain vulnerability study is funded through FEMA, 75%, and we'll also take a look at our storm drain infrastructure and help us identify the prioritized areas in the future. A Prop 1 LID we'll take a look at. We'll have generator put in through another FEMA granted project on Kenmar and Drake Hill pump stations, a CDBG project, ADA barrier removal project, a pretty cool Tesla battery project at 3 of our locations. In this year document, it will be focusing on the CCF, our corrosion control facilities, the main wells down off Eel River Drive. And the Redwood Way Reconstruction Project, which will be starting up pretty soon and going into next fiscal, as well as the Kenmar Interchange Project. A couple of new CIP projects will be the police facility and the basketball court will be expanded in Roner Park as part of a Measure E. Let me talk a little bit about this. So the police facility be $2 million to be constructed, hopefully in this next fiscal year. And it's looking pretty good that it'll be funded through the CARES Act. So the city will be receiving about 2.3 million, and 2 million of that will be funding that police facility at the old Eureka Physical Therapy, as most of you are aware, that's been moved. And the basketball courts will be redone and expanded at Roner Park through Measure E funds, which was allowed because the CARES Act is funding the police facility. So it actually allowed for more funds to be spent on Measure E for some of our other projects. And I'll do a really quick overview of the main project that the city has going on. The most expensive one, I should say, is our upgrade with a quick update. And I had in there for our council meeting earlier, a detailed update at another meeting at council meeting. So here's our FEMA funded storm drain vulnerability. You can see that that's a good example of a lot of our single wall corrugated metal pipes that it's a little bit acidic, I want to say, that our soils are that cause that. And so this study will allow us to go in, take a really good look at it, and then we'll be able to go after some more FEMA dollars to help fix these situations, whether it's a complete replace, or we can actually go in there, put some grout in, and then line each one of those with a new plastic lining that will last a good 50 years or so. Prop 1 LID, this is a rendering of some on 12th Street. You can see some new trees and planting areas. And this will help enhance our storm drain as well on 12th Street. It'll actually capture a lot of the storm drain, and it will alleviate us from having to pay for an existing project that we've had in previous CIPs that we're substituting with this one, and actually handling that through a grant fund, which is awesome. This one is another FEMA funded Drake Hill and Kenmar stationary generator sets. You see the power pole, and off to the right will be actually the Tesla batteries. That's one of the locations where the Tesla batteries will go. And then off to the right of the building is where one of the generators will be put in. And that's really integral for power outages. It's an automatic transfer switch. Generator kicks on, and that means that our crew doesn't have to get up in the middle of the night, go get our full, tow behind generators and go out and hook them up to each one of those, and then go around to each one, and they're kind of constantly moving around. This is automatic, and it'll function automatically when the power's out. CDBG program income barrier removal. This is multiple locations within town. I highlighted the rodeo grounds there. Hopefully you can see the red lines and kind of a concept that we have. This will actually be designed out with the engineer in the coming months, and this will have the other locations, which include kind of back by the batting cages over off of Carson Woods Road that is looking at to be paved, and some ADA parking. The dog park off of Dinsmore Drive, pave the rest of that and provide ADA parking, and then multiple curb ramps along Main Street, turning those into ADA compliant ramps, as well as path of travel that the county made us aware of on their ADA transition plan and kind of put in our lap on the path of travel from the bus stop on 11th and N to the library, which is our building, but they lease it and run the library out of, and they did everything on the inside of the building. We're going to do the path of travel. We have to spend that money so that we can get more money. It's kind of interesting how that works. The Tesla batteries projects, I actually took these pictures this morning. This is at the wastewater treatment plant. And the picture on the left are actually the battery modules themselves. And then the one on the right is the controller for the batteries. And the other ones, those ones on the left will be sitting right around that controller on the right. And that will actually, with the combination of the 3 locations that we're going to be doing this, and it's all funded by Tesla through a grant, will allow for about $100,000 savings a year, and over a 10-year period, about $1 million. So that's actually a pretty exciting project that's happening. Redwood Way Reconstruction will be going into construction starting on the 17th. So that's this coming Monday. And then we'll be going through this next fiscal year as well. And that will be complete reconstruction of Redwood Way all the way from Safeway to Ronerville Road through the S-curves. And we'll actually include some sidewalk from the new Fitzy project all the way to the hospital. That's kind of exciting. The Kenmar Interchange project, we did a complete streets grant that actually produced the drawing on the left and is actually a part of a much bigger document. But this is just pulled from that document on a concept for that interchange to help with the level of service on that whole interchange. And most people that drive through there know that coming off the freeway from the north going south can be a little bit cumbersome, especially in the evenings. And these roundabouts are designed to alleviate that, as well as the potential for the mill site to be developed. Picture on the right is just the overpass itself. And then we'll be hopefully removing some of the railroad crossing, as you can see in that picture. Not the actual crossing itself, but the light. Then finally is the NPDES compliance project. That's our major wastewater project, which will be relocating our effluent location where it discharges during the summer months to over across the river. It'll be actually a directional bore underneath the river. It'll be about 1/4 of a mile, I want to say, 2,000 something feet from our facility over under the river, and then comes back up. If anybody knows where it is, it's a South Ferry crossing. And then if you come up the river bar a little bit, it's the old motorcycle track, and that it'll actually be an underground infiltration basin, which will almost be imperceivable. It'll be a few feet underground, and then it'll take that water. So that being offered up, I do want to bring up the actual. Come on. So this is the actual CIP here. I'll leave this open once I make a couple of really quick comments on kind of where everything comes from budgetary wise. So this is our 5-year CIP dollars by funding source. The green is sewer reserves. That's our major project. It's 19.5 million, I believe is what we have in there for a 5-year project. It could be more. Doubt it'll be less. The red area is the grants, 7.7 million over the next 5 years. And then the blue is our water reserves, which is about 5.7 million. General fund is about 2 million. That actually will be reimbursed by the CARES Act, and that's the police facility. And then this pie chart shows this next fiscal year and the funding sources. The orange is from grants. The green is from sewer. The blue is the police facility. The dark blue is water reserves. And then the purple is Measure E. And then the others are local transportation funds and then traffic facility fund. So with that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions on any specific project or anything on the process.
I was curious if you could tell us a little bit more about the CARES Act and how our city obtained that. And, just tell us more about it. I'm interested.
So it was allocated, it wasn't a competitive amount. So the city was allocated 2.3 million through that. And our finance director's been going back and forth with the folks that regulate that and trying to find out what projects will qualify for that. And ironically enough, which I believe is ironically enough, is it's water and sewer projects were automatically included in that. The police facility was included, is being considered to be included in that, and is actually looking pretty good because of the impact to the COVID situation. And so our existing police facility, they were crowded in and around each other. And so we ended up purchasing that piece of property and allowed them to spread out more. And then this will actually complete that and keep a PD with more space and more room. And then can't recall the other ways that can be funded. Basically, if it's been impacted, I believe we can backfill the general fund. Some, if we can prove, like say, the loss of funds to the River Lodge due to the coronavirus or other of our recreation programs, we can backfill some of that. And I believe that's what Aaron, our finance director, is planning on spending or allocating the remaining 300,000, depending on how the project costs come through. And we have the permit and we'll be going out to bid pretty soon on the PD. It's been designed.
So I'm just curious, do those funds come directly from the federal government, or do they go, is the state of California intermediary, or is there another intermediary?
I may be speaking out of turn, but I believe that Aaron's been talking mostly to the state. I don't believe he's been talking to the Fed. So I think it is an intermediary.
Another question, sorry to ask you so much, I'm just curious.
That's fine.
Is every municipality in America, does every municipality get some of those funds?
You know, by looking at what I've seen on the graphs, because I focus in on our area, quite frankly, and it's everybody that, you know, in the county is anticipated to receive those funds. So I'd assume that it's everybody.
Isn't CDBG federal trickle down money?
It is. It's through HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and then Liz might actually, I don't know how much you deal with CDBG, Liz, but we basically, what we do is we work with either a homeowner or a business, and we, you know, go after some grant fundings. And then we're the intermediary as well, and so we give them the money. So, you know, I think Curly's restaurant was one of those, and then when they pay the city back in those funds, that actually goes into the program income pot, and then we end up doing projects through utilizing that program income dollars. Does that sound right, Liz?
Yeah. Yeah, and the program income, even though that's in the city's funds now, it's still subject to the regulations from CDBG with
Yes.
regards to how it gets spent and who it benefits and things like that. Katie, I know you've been involved, and Katie's actually been working on another CDBG grant. Did you have any other insights that you might add? I think she's kind of been more directly involved.
I think you guys covered it. Yeah, we've got a good healthy reserve of the program income funding right now, which is great. And that's one of the ways that CDBG can benefit jurisdictions in the long term is, you know, by funding programs for the community, and then the community in turn will keep funding more and more programs. So.
And to point out our project, it has to benefit low to moderate income folks. So that's one of the requirements through the feds. And we also have to do what's called Davis-Bacon. It's a prevailing wage. You know, once we do the construction, everything has to be prevailing wage. And those requirements are, you know, there's a lot of requirements involved with that we have to go through and manage. So it's all subject to the federal requirements, even though it is, like Liz said, in our coffers. Other specifics? All right, so I'll just a quick kind of just update on the schedule of this. This went to council this morning in a workshop. They had no changes, no comments, and then it'll be going to council on June 7th at their regular meeting to be adopted along with the budget. So we are on schedule this year to have a capital improvement program and a budget to be adopted before July 1. And that's always an exciting thing to have done. You know, it's a big undertaking for Public Works, for the CIP, and for finance, and everybody that contributes to the budget. So that concludes my presentation, unless there are any more questions.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions, or did you want to discuss the general plan consistency report at the back? I think it's, the projects are all really straightforward and easy. I think it's easy to see where they fit in with the, the general plan. They're really just, kind of straightforward public improvement projects. I appreciate Kevin coming and explaining them to everybody. And, that gives the planning commission the chance to see another aspect of development. So, a lot of the development projects that come over the planning commission have these public, infrastructure components to them. And you just see that small part. This kind of lets you see the overall, improvements and utility updates and extensions and projects that kind of tie in with the more specific development projects that you guys consider. So, if you don't have any questions, then you can move on to making the general plan consistency finding. And that would be with a voice vote or a roll call vote, sorry.
Do we need to open
Mr.
public comment first?
Thank you.
Am I calling that to open for public comment? Okay. Can I get a motion to open this for public comment?
I'll make a motion to open for public comment.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. Katie. Roll call vote.
We don't actually need a motion to open, but we'll need a motion to close. So we can do the vote
Stand
now.
corrected. Thank you.
But let me throw up the slide.
Okay. Can I get a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close.
I'll second that.
Can we get a roll call vote?
Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Halley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rogers,
Yes.
Sites.
Yes.
Oh, Kevin, thank you for the presentation.
Yes, I'll second
Those are always
that.
good.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we find that the proposed fiscal year 2021 to 2022 5-year capital improvement program is consistent with the general plan.
I'll second that.
Okay. I guess that's a roll call vote.
That is Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Halley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rogers,
Yes.
Sites.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, do we have any general comments from the commission or questions? Anything outstanding?
I don't, but I appreciate learning more through this presentation tonight and how our work and city council's work and so many of the staff goes toward a overall, benefit toward our city. And it's good seeing a more holistic view of things and how it intersects with, capital budgeting and programs and projects, and very informative. So thank you so much.
Yeah, staff does an amazing job on this stuff. The clarity and the detail is, I couldn't write that. you know?
Yeah, I agree. They work really hard. They do a good job.
I really appreciate that, and I'll make sure to pass that along to Amanda Hubasek, our admin assistant, that really puts all those charts together and does a lot of hard work to make it look the way it does.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I would also add in that Kevin and Merritt, the city manager, they really definitely work hard on all of this, and they pursue funding and receive funding, from outside sources, grants and whatnot, and really gets a lot of work done, really significant. The storm drainage, the creek improvements, the safe routes to school, all kinds of road improvements, and they're still ongoing, and I think they really do a good job for the city.
Just 1 second right here. This is actually really cool. I just got this. This is everybody's familiar with the Roner Creek project that we did, and the flood control project. The San Francisco section of the Association of Society of Civil Engineers actually presented the city the Roner Creek flood control seismic habitat improvement project as the flood management project of the year for 2020. So that was really exciting, and it was really a long time, and I will tell you, I'll just kind of follow up with that and what hits the ground starting in August or September 3rd, I believe. The actual maps will be, the LOMARs will be completed, and people can stop paying flood insurance. About, I can't remember, it's a 50 or 100, properties that will now be able to not pay flood insurance. And that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Terrific. I have one follow-up question for someone there. If a citizen who might be viewing tonight, or one of us as a planning commissioner, wants to learn more about the financial side of this and how projects are funded, how would we go about that?
You can always contact me. My number is 725-1472. I'm happy to talk to anybody about any of our projects that we have going on. And then if I can't answer them, then I would forward them on to Aaron Felmley, our finance director. But for the most part, they're grant funded, and I can answer it.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, as you saw in this report. There were the spreadsheets on the funding for each of those projects, and it had a little bit of a breakdown on the funding source. Also, the city council right now is in the budget update process, and I don't remember when that's going to the council for, like a televised. They've been having their untelevised workshops, but that will also go to the council.
June 7th.
June 7th, Monday night. So it's viewable on Access Humboldt, and opportunity to participate and comment.
And will they have a workshop or just the meeting? Like a workshop about the budget?
The budget is available the draft budget is available for view on the city website. So that can be viewed. People can ask questions from the finance director or Kevin on the public works projects. And then there will be comment at the city council meeting when they discuss it.
There have been 2 budget workshops that have been completed. Today was the second one that was done. Yeah. And it was focused primarily on water and sewer. The first one focused primarily on general fund.
Yes.
So Liz, what's happening on the corner of 9th and Main Street?
Oh, that is the Little Caesars Pizza.
Is that still happening?
Yeah, they're actually, I think that building's looking really nice, and this week they're doing the parking lot. So that, of course, that came before you guys as a design review project. And we don't really know the date. not just the building, but then the interior work, installing the appliances and the equipment takes a long time, and then training staff. So I think that's what is happening with the Paul's Life from New York down on Newburgh and 12th Street. So they look like they're all done, but it's still, as you can tell, taking some time for them to get up and running. But that one is also moving forward. So lots of good pizza in town, on both ends of town, which is nice.
Yeah. One, I'd like to thank everybody for help with the meeting. Katie, Liz, Kevin, and you guys asking questions and jumping in when I fumble, which does happen occasionally, Okay. Do we have anything else open, or I don't see anything on the agenda?
No, unless you don't have anything else, or unless you have something else, just a motion to close.
Yep. Anybody want
I'll
to
make
make?
a
I would
motion.
like to make the,
Okay. And a second.
I'll second.
There you go. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate attendance, presentation, and feedback on everything.
Quick roll call for the motion to adjourn.
Good point. Thank you, Katie.
Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Chair Rogers,
Yes.
and Commissioner Seitz.
Yes, be well, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.